Hello and welcome to the Car Care channel, and welcome to another Toyota Hidden Gem video. Folks, the Toyota Yaris is one of those models that usually car guys look at and they'll be like, this is a punishment. But actually, they're one of the best cars Toyota made. They kind of flew under the radar, and today you can have them for a very low price, and they're such good cars. And to clarify, the Yaris in the US didn't do so well because it was always under the shadow of the Corolla. From 2007 all the way to 2019, that's two complete generations. They're actually mechanically exactly the same, and they are really good cars, and you can have them for a good price today. And they don't make cars like this anymore. That was one of the last cars, actually. They made it like that. So in today's video, we're going to talk about some of their common problems, the things you need to know about them, and what makes them truly a hidden gem. And you'll see as we go through this video why they are really good. Let's start with the engine category on the Toyota Yaris. The Toyota Yaris from 2007 all the way to 2019 only had one engine option, and that is the amazing 1NZ FE. An engine so little is known about it because it's actually super reliable. I mean, let's talk about some of the common problems with this engine. Maybe at over 300,000 miles and with severe neglect on maintenance, maybe you will do a head gasket, maybe not. When you get to 400,000 miles, 500,000 miles, that chance increases slightly. That's how good this engine is. Not a timing chain, not really catastrophic failures, not oil consumption, nothing. The thing just keeps going. Now, there are a few things with this engine. One of them is the water pumps. They love to go on this engine, and they go early, and they're so simple to replace, very inexpensive. Takes you a DIY or maybe an hour to change it. Equally with the water pump, the drive belt. This engine is so ancient, so conservatively designed, it doesn't have a belt tensioner, a hydraulic one or automatic one. It's just a manual adjustment. So for some reason, people never really service these cars well. They always neglect them. They're so good cars, they last. You're supposed to tighten this belt at certain intervals, maybe every 60,000 miles. What people never do, and always end up shredding the belt and making all kinds of squealing noises. That's something common with them. You're actually supposed to adjust the tension on this belt every 60,000 because it doesn't have an automatic tensioner. The other thing with these engines, which has to do with rust, and rust is one of those problems with these cars. We'll talk about them a little bit in the body section, but the exhaust manifold loves to rot. The bolts that connect the exhaust manifold to the rest of the exhaust, they love to just completely rot, and then there's nothing left of the manifold. But the good thing is, most Toyotas, the exhaust manifold actually has a catalytic converter, not in the Yaris. It's like 200 and something bucks to buy the exhaust manifold, to replace it, put a new gasket between it and the front pipe, and the exhaust leaks are gone. That's how simple this engine is, folks. And the last thing on this engine is, even though this doesn't really have to do with the way it runs and operates, engine mounts. This powertrain doesn't have a lot of engine mounts, and they love to shake and vibrate, and you have to replace the motor mounts on these a little bit more proactively than other Toyota models. But folks, this engine is one of those Hall of Fame engines that nobody talks about. You look at the Yaris, it's like, this is just a little eco box. They're so good. They're very good. They're even comfortable. I used to own a Yaris a long time ago. They're great cars. And they are probably one of the least cars we see in the shop in any configuration for any problem. Usually the ones we have with real problems have well over 300, 400,000 miles. That's how good this engine is. Let's talk about the transmission section. And honestly, when we were making this video and I was writing this stuff, I don't know what to say about the transmission because I have never been inside one. I've actually never replaced the transmission on a Yaris. The U340E, a 4-speed automatic transmission, is one of the best transmissions ever made. Even with neglect, there has been 2 cases that I've run into that they completely failed, and both of them were well over 400,000 miles. That's how good this transmission is, folks, and even with neglect. And both of these transmissions had original fluid. That's how long they last with neglect. Change the fluid every 60,000 miles, and you will never hear a single complaint from this transmission. It'll just run and run and run smoothly without complaints. I have never seen an issue with this transmission ever. And that, all I do is engines and transmissions on Toyotas and Lexus. And that is my statement. That should tell you the rest of the story. The other side, though, is, and this is a strange one for me, the manual transmission Yaris's C50 transmission. It's actually a fragile little thing. Be gentle with it. It's not the best manual transmission from Toyota, honestly. And if I was buying a Yaris, and this usually kind of goes against what every mechanic will tell you, if you're buying a Yaris, buy the automatic. They're really good. Most people end up buying the manual because they're more reliable, not than the Yaris. The automatic is the one to get. Let's talk about the chassis and the body. And folks, the biggest thing that lets the Yaris down is rust. These rust so bad. I mean, this is one of their weaknesses and comes from their old school design. But notably, 2012 and up, the hatchback is a lot better than the early ones. That's something to be said. But when you're going to buy one, if you're living in an area with salt, make sure you don't buy one that's completely rotten and rusted. I mean, problems get really bad with rust, so much that the subframe bolts in the front break and just fall off. That's how bad things get with these. This is one of their weaknesses. So if you are buying one, make sure it's not a rusty one. Otherwise, they do sometimes give you a feeling of they're cheap and flimsy and everything just rattles, and they are tough as nails. They are really well made. And when you look behind the scenes, things are very basic, but that's what makes them good. There's not much you can disassemble the whole car in no time, and they're so basic. And that's what makes them good. Now, other things that no car is perfect, of course. They do tend to have a habit of going through rear wheel bearings. A little bit on the expensive side, especially if you have ABS. Imagine a car with no ABS. The Yaris, there was actually a model with no ABS. But the other thing is the rear brakes, they squeak. There are drum brakes in the back, and they last a very long time. They squeak when you apply the brake pedal. Well, that's because people never service them. You're actually supposed to technically service the rear drums every 10,000 miles on these, but people don't. And at 200,000 miles, they'll start squeaking every time you push the brake pedal. Take them apart, clean them, put everything back, grease a few points, and we're good. Let's talk about the electrical section, and here is the best part about this. So there's a very common issue with the Yaris with spiral cables or clock springs going out, and then the airbag light comes on. They actually had a recall on the ones that had that issue, and then the updated part took care of that. So there you go, the common problem is fixed for free, as long as you get the recall done. So many people don't even get the recalls done on these. Speaking of recalls, this is, although not electrical, the Yaris, when you Google it up, it'll come up, it has, all these recalls. Folks, don't let that shy you away from one. They are really good cars. I have to say that. They do have a little bit more recalls than your average car that flies under the radar, but they are really good cars. More electrical stuff is if you have one with ABS, the rear connection to the wheel bearing loves to corrode the connector itself, and unfortunately you do have to replace the wheel bearing. Would it be a waste? They love to go through wheel bearings in the back anyways, so if you have ABS lights on one that has ABS, more than likely that's going to be the issue. And then last thing is some of the base models with manual windows and no door locks, no power locks and whatnot, they don't have cruise control. And specifically after 2009, did you know you could just add a cruise control switch and everything will work? That's how basic these things are. We're all wired up for it. You just need the stock, and then the cruise control will work. Thought I'd throw this one in here. What is the best year to buy? Let's keep it simple. 2007 all the way to 2019. They are really that good, folks. They never had issues when they came out. They never have issues today. The issues that they have are typical wear and tear. I mean, these things are getting a little older here. If you buy one that is taken care of, and that's one of the problems we're going to talk about right now. If you buy one that's taken care of, not rusty, they are truly epic hidden gems for reliability and just simplicity. You just want the car to take you from point A to point B, no fuss, no drama, dependable, never let you down. This is the car. But the problem is there's a common trend because of how good they are, of people neglecting them. I see a lot of severely neglected examples, and that's the problem. Finding one in good shape is hard because people that own it in good shape, they won't let it go because it's such a good little car. Initially, the impression when you get in them, they're cheap, they feel flimsy. It's like, okay, this feels like a punishment. You are so wrong about that, because if you're looking for an exciting car, you're looking at the wrong brand. I'm sorry to say, this is the truth. Few cars are exciting, but most of them really are meant for transportation. But if you want a reliable, dependable car that will never let you down and never break the bank, ever, you're looking in the right place, because this is the car for you. Folks, the Yaris, to me, I drive the little hatchback. It's fun. It's a little zippy car that you know no matter what you do to it, it won't let you down. That's the good thing about the Yaris. And they are absolute hidden gems. You find one, they're usually cheap. And that's the best part, because people really overlook them. They're great. Don't buy a rusty one. Take care of it. Buy one that's taken care of. And you're going to have miles and miles of smiles, reliability, loud noise, no amenities. But most folks, that's all they need. They just need to get to work and back. Folks, I hope this video is helpful and informative. I hope you learned something new. If you like it, consider giving it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing to the channel. Check out some other videos. And until the next video, folks, may the Lord bless you and keep you. And you have yourself a wonderful day.